The teacher who had the most influence on the course of my career, even though I didn't realize it at the time, was my ninth grade history teacher, who decided to do a radical pedagogical experiment when I was in his ninth grade class. He divided the class into two groups. One was the control group. This was a well-designed experiment. One was the control group, and that group would take ninth grade history, it was Western civilization, in the ordinary fashion. So they read a textbook, they did workbook pages, they wrote essays, they took tests, all that stuff. I fortunately was in the experimental group. And the experimental group, those of us in the group, were introduced to our assignments for the whole year on the first day of the fall semester, when the teacher, Joe DeJardin, brought in a stack of books that looked like it was 3 feet tall. It seemed that way to a ninth grade kid. It probably wasn't, but it consisted of probably 20, 25 books. And these were books that were not textbooks. These were not necessarily even called history books. They consisted primarily of historical novels and biographies of important, interesting characters in history. And it was explained to us that our job for the year was simply to read these books. Read these books. We would occasionally talk about them. Well, I think we probably even wrote a little bit about them, but the main thing was just to read the books and develop an interest in history if it came out that way. And for me, turned out it did. I really got hooked on history. I hadn't been especially interested in history until then. But what I discovered that year was that history is full of the most fascinating characters you could imagine. And if you want to know what the world is like, put yourself in the shoes, see the world through the eyes of other people. I explain to my students even today that the superpower of the historians is to see the world through others' eyes. And I was first introduced to that possibility in ninth grade.